In 1974, 5 friends, Tom, Sarah, Mark, Rachel and Kevin, decided to take a camping trip deep into the woods surrounding Elmsbrook, a small, remote town. The town was quiet, almost forgotten by time, and known for its eerie isolation. Locals always spoke of the forest with an air of caution, hinting at strange occurrences and dark history. But the group, eager for adventure, dismissed these stories as nothing more than local folklore. They were experienced hikers and seasoned campers, confident in their ability to handle whatever the wilderness might throw at them. But there was something they didn't know. Something dark was waiting for them in those woods. The Elmsbrook Forest had been avoided by the townspeople for generations, ever since the infamous witch trials of the late 1600s. According to the legend, a woman named Abigail, accused of witchcraft, had been executed in the heart of the forest. As the flames consumed her, she swore vengeance on the town, cursing all who dared enter her domain. Her last words were said to carry a chilling promise. "Those who walk in my shadow will never return. I will take them as my own." Over the years, strange disappearances and unexplained deaths became associated with the woods. Those few who dared enter claimed to feel watched, as though the trees themselves held secrets too terrible to be spoken. Despite these unsettling tales, the group saw it as nothing more than a quaint ghost story, something to laugh about around the campfire. They packed their bags, loaded up their gear, and set out on a bright, sunny morning. As they hiked deeper into the forest, the towering trees seemed to close in around them, their dense canopy blocking out the sunlight until only faint streams of light pierced through. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest became. Soon, even the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves ceased, leaving only the sound of their footsteps on the path. The first signs of unease came when they noticed odd symbols carved into the trunks of several trees, strange, intricate designs that looked almost ancient. Sarah, the most skeptical of the group, brushed it off as graffiti left by previous hikers, but the others couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching them. As the hours passed, a thick fog began to roll in, wrapping itself around the trees and obscuring their path. The laughter and light-hearted banter that had filled the morning was now replaced by a tense silence. By the time they set up camp for the night, the mood had shifted entirely. The fire they built seemed weak, its flames flickering as though struggling to stay alive. The forest, once vibrant, felt oppressive, alive in a way they couldn't explain. Strange noises echoed from deep within the trees, whispers carried on the wind, the snap of twigs, and the soft, rhythmic sound of something walking. Tom, always the jokester, tried to lighten the mood, but his laughter was hollow, forced. Rachel swore she saw a figure standing between the trees, just at the edge of the firelight. But when the others looked, there was nothing there. They wrote it off as exhaustion playing tricks on her mind. As the night wore on, things grew worse. The carvings they had seen earlier began to glow faintly in the darkness, pulsing with an unnatural light. The air around them felt heavy, like it was pressing in on their lungs, making it hard to breathe. Mark, always the calm one, suggested they stay close to the fire and leave at first light. But something deep inside told them that the forest wouldn't let them go so easily. It was well past midnight when the first real sign of danger appeared. Kevin, who had been quietly staring into the fire, stood up suddenly, his eyes wide with fear. "Do you hear that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The others strained their ears, but at first, they heard nothing. Then it came, a faint, distorted whisper, barely audible, carried on the wind. It was impossible to make out the words, but the tone was clear, ominous and cold, like something ancient was calling to them. Then, Sarah screamed. She pointed into the darkness, her face pale with terror. Just beyond the firelight, they saw it, a shadowy figure standing perfectly still among the trees. Its form was indistinct, but its eyes glowed like burning embers staring directly at them. The group froze, paralyzed by fear, unable to look away from the figure. It didn't move, but its presence filled them with a deep, primal dread. In a panic, they scrambled to pack their things, abandoning their campsite in a desperate attempt to escape. They ran blindly into the forest, their flashlights flickering as if the batteries were being drained by some unseen force. But no matter how fast they ran, the figure seemed to follow them, always just at the edge of their vision, watching them with those glowing eyes. The forest twisted around them, the trees seeming to close in, forming a labyrinth of darkness. It was as if the very woods were alive, playing with them, leading them deeper into the unknown. As they ran, Tom tripped over a root and fell hard to the ground. The others stopped to help him, but as they pulled him up, they heard the whisper again, clearer this time, closer. "You should not have come." The word sent a chill through their bodies, freezing them in place. The figure was closer now, no longer hidden by the trees. It stood at the edge of the path, motionless, its glowing eyes fixed on them. In sheer terror, they fled again. But by now, they were hopelessly lost. Every direction they turned seemed to lead them back to the same place, back to the figure, back to those glowing eyes. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if the forest itself was speaking to them. Finally, they could run no more. Exhausted and broken, they collapsed to the ground, the figure slowly closing in on them. By morning, the search parties found nothing but an abandoned campsite and a few scattered belongings. No trace of the group was ever found, not even footprints leading away from the camp. The townspeople of Elmsbrook searched the woods for weeks, but it was as if the forest had swallowed them whole. To this day, locals claim the forest is haunted by the spirit of the witch, still seeking revenge on those who enter her domain. Some who dare to venture too close report seeing shadowy figures watching from the trees, while others hear faint whispers that follow them even after they leave the woods. The curse lives on, waiting for the next unwary souls to stumble into its grasp.